Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
Introducing Robert Marshall from Source Elements and Someone Audio Post, Chicago. Darren Robbo Robertson from Voodoo Radio Imaging, Sydney. Tech to the VO Stars, George the Tech Whittam from LA. And me, Andrew Peters, voiceover talent and home studio guy.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
Welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. This week we're talking about ridiculous requests from producers. And just as
just that makes me laugh.
Well, I think the first question is, do producers have a right to request you actually buy gear for their sessions? I don't think they do.
Well, just out of interest, this is what the ridiculous request was.
Let me guess.
Can you hear the difference in the audio? Correctamundo.
How
That's
do I
with
know that?
Reflection
Tell me.
filter. That's without the reflection filter.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds a little bit better.
Someone asked for a reflection filter?
Yep.
And let me guess the genre. Video game.
I don't know. But in fact, I think it was something you sent us, George. Remember?
Maybe that's the point. It was something I sent to you. That's why this is not a coincidence, because I actually recommended this topic.
This is like deja vu.
It's like, this is your life. Yeah. This happened to a client of mine. He said, I have this reflection filter. It wasn't the actual brand. That's an actual brand, like a trademark. It was one of the knockoffs. There's 1,000 of them. And I saw it in his booth. We were on Zoom. That's the nice thing of doing my sessions in Zoom. Sometimes I see their studios and I know what the heck's going on. And I'm like, why do you have that? And he's like, well, I'm working for this video game company and they said, we want you to have that. And so I do. And I was like, okay. I was like, do you realize that thing either does absolutely nothing or makes it worse? And I said, please, let's try it without. He tried it without. He was like, oh my gosh, this is so much better. I can actually put my copy stand where it belongs and I can see my copy.
Yeah.
And it was like, I said, honestly, man, you bought it. They are happy that you bought one. They don't have to know that you're not using it anymore. Just take it down. The producers of these games, they know about studios to a degree. Some of them are audio engineers and some of them are geeks that love technology, but they're not audio engineers with acoustic experience.
But also, talking of those things, it doesn't happen so much anymore because I do most of my work from here. But when I used to go into studios, every now and then you get one that sets up the mic for you with a huge pop filter.
Sure.
And you're sort of like one eye trying to read the script around the corner.
Right.
Like there's they've taken no effort to make it easy for you to read the script.
I can imagine. I always consider the script. In fact, when I set up a studio, if I'm physically there, the first thing we set up is the script. I'm like, where does it go? Where do you like it? What height? What's the distance you need to stand from it, et cetera? Once that is nailed down, then we put up the mic. That's how I do it.
Surely that's basic.
Exactly.
Surely that's basic planning, though, because the talent's got to be able to read the script. They're never going to memorize it, so they've got to be able to see the screen, the actual piece of paper, whatever it is they're reading off. And if they have to go off mic to do that, then you can stick all the pop filters you want on there, but it's still going to sound like shit because they've got to move their head to read it, right?
Yeah, but it's funny. Some engineers want you right on the mic. I get it for certain reads, but not everything. I like to be, a good handspan away from the mic and have the mic sort of basically above my head.
An engineer that would do that to an actor is an engineer that's accustomed to music production.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's probably the case.
Because I didn't learn about...
Do what to an actor? Make
them sing right up against a pop filter. Like a classic singer setup where the pop screen is that they're kissing the pop screen and they use it as a guard to keep the actor from bumping into the U87.
The microphone.
Yes, exactly.
That's what, if that's what they're doing to you as a voice actor, I'm sorry for you as an actor. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That should not be happening. You don't need to do that. You don't need to be kissing a pop screen. We're having
like you shouldn't have to touch it, but they might like the proximity effect. That might be just what they're kind of going for and wanting you to be close to the mic because it just kind of gives that bass rise.
Yeah, that's true. But there's other ways to do it without having them obscure their script entirely, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. That's the problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like a singer, they should have their shit memorized.
Well, a singer generally does, right? They're literally performing a piece they've sung off
Right.
400
Not
times.
with Pro Tools, they don't.
So let's put this in perspective of
that's
someone like put this in perspective of someone like Chris McCallum, who we've had on this show before, right? One of Australia's best
Yep.
location guys. He can't just shove his mic in the shot and go, well, screw you, I've got to record the audio. He's got to find the best place to have the mic so that the performance
Sure.
can still happen for the camera. It's the same in the booth.
That's right.
It's just there's no picture involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Point of comparison. Absolutely. You know, I'm trying to figure out still what it was invented for. What I generally tell people is it's a problem solver for live recording in a studio. You've got a bunch of musicians and you're trying to just reduce bleed, you know, from one, like a trumpet or something between mics. And I feel like that's what it was invented for.
Or you're trying to get like you have a bounce off of a wall or something. It's like a portable gobo for a microphone.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's really close and it does create weird comb filtering things near the microphone
And to be honest, the company that as far as I can understand, invented it, at least I have credit for inventing it, is SE Electronics.
Yeah.
And they make some of the best mics out there. They know what they're doing, but you know, I think that when it was made, it was just a problem-solving device, and they knew there was a sacrifice in sound in doing it. But they're also
it's
pretty
very similar to
complicated.
what the Porta Booth does. And Andrew, you as you can say, the Porta Booth helps.
Yeah.
It can help deal with a it's like, and it's the same thing. So when you're dealing with a less than ideal environment, the pain it causes is better than problems and pain it causes. But to have a whisper room and one of those things, that makes zero sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen that recently. In fact, I commented today on somebody posted a picture of their beautiful new studio. Look at my beautiful booth, and then they had that thing behind the mic, and I said, you know, that's a beautiful studio. It's a shame you had to put that reflection filter behind your mic. Did a client request you do that? And they're like, no, I just had it, so I figured I should use it. I was
Right,
like,
like,
no,
no.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's like if you don't have a booth.
Right. And they're like, well, I thought it made it sound a little less boxy in here. I'm like, okay, then solve the problem. Don't, you know. If you look at an actual reflection filter, they're like $250, you know, they're not cheap. And,
Yeah, there's
they're
some that have some
complex.
shitty.
They're actually
Yeah.
complex. There's
They-
a lot going on, and it's not just a layer of foam glued to some metal, which is what the really
It's
cheesy
a few
ones are.
layers of different stuff.
Yeah, it's a composite
have-
of different
Yeah.
material. There's some real, you know, I still wouldn't recommend it because it's annoying to actually have to use one. But I've installed them over the years out of you know, lack of a better idea or just, you know, lack of experience. So,
But they do let sound go through them. It can pass through them. I think that's the
Yes.
key to the SE one, as opposed to the other ones, which, like this thing I've got here, which is basically curved plastic with foam stuck to it.
if it's got past plastic on the back, that's really bad. Like if it's got anything
It's going
rigid,
to cause a reflection.
that's
Yeah.
bad. Yeah. Even if it has an inch or two of foam on it, you're going to get a lot of reflection off of it, right?
I mean, some of them are a piece of metal that's perforated, and
Right.
even that I'm not sure.
The
if it's
the reason
perforated metal.
and this came up in that thread today too, like I mentioned Tri-Booth, actually somebody else did too, Emmett, I think it was Emmett. The reason Tri-Booth works reasonably well is because it is a large space that is where the microphone isn't terribly close to any one surface, and the actual booth is really more of a filter than it is. It's not a barrier; it's a filter.
Yeah.
Right. So sound can go right through it, you know, and that's important to its design.
Yep.
If we had
It
It
hung
makes
like
it sound bigger than it is.
right, if we had hung like a layer of hard, I don't know what we would have hung in there, vinyl or plastic or something. I don't know. It would have sounded a lot worse. You know, it would not have done what it's supposed to do.
It would sound more
Well,
like
even imagine that booth that we were in with the mass-loaded vinyl. Remember
Yeah.
that booth?
Absolutely.
It's like that stuff. You could look at it and you could see that it still had some at some frequencies. You could tell it was going to reflect.
Even the Tri-Booth, I'll admit it right now, it has like a 300-ish hertz thing that you can hear a little bit of a buildup. So the fabric we use, there is something about that particular fabric at that particular frequency that it has a little resonance. As weird as that sounds, it's you wouldn't think of a fabric of having a resonance, but it does.
It's the shape. It's the size of the space that you're creating with that fabric. But yeah.
Right, yeah. There's still something. It's not a completely neutral, as much as I want it to be. It's not perfect, It's not perfect. And anytime you can find your space around your mic, it's a compromise. It just is. Like the science says you can't do this and get a perfect result when you do it. So,
but those reflection filters, yes, horrid.
Yeah, don't do it.
Not for VO, folks.
Don't do it.
And that's why the chaotic eyeball is bad, because it's like a really close
right
reflection filter.
If you want your audio to sound like this, use one. Or like this.
I think Uncle Roy shoved a bagel in the back of one once, inside the eyeball. That's pretty funny.
See, it's lunchtime now. You're making me hungry.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite recorded using Source Connect, edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging with tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Help us share the show with more people and get your hands on exclusive content by contributing to our Patreon page. See patreon.com/Pro Audio Suite. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, theproaudiosuite.com.